the first thing, as normal, we'll Outdoors Queensland would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands where we gather right across the state and across Australia. I'm in Brisbane, Meanjin on Yuggera country. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging, and also acknowledge the important role that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples play in relation to the lands, sky and waterways used for outdoor activities right across Australia. And we also acknowledge the funding that's provided by the Queensland Government to support outdoor activities right across our state. Well, I should introduce myself. My name's Dom Courtney. I'm the Executive Officer of Outdoors Queensland. Mark Squires, our Operations Manager, is co-hosting here with me today. And I'd like to start off with a big thanks to Mark for hosting our Coffee and Conversation session a fortnight ago while I was on leave. So thank you for that, Mark. I do appreciate it. I'm sure you guys appreciated a break from me droning on. So for the regulars, you'd know what I mean. But yeah, welcome for all members of Outdoors Queensland and anyone else who's joining us, including reps from interstate organisations. I think I saw Laurie from Outdoors New South Wales and ACT's on the list. So yeah, welcome Laurie and all others. So as I said, we're recording the sessions, and also I think this is our 5th episode of Coffee and Conversation for this year. So I like to call it season 2. Sometimes that's the breakout season, but we'll see what happens. All right, get stuck into it. We've got a bit of an agenda here, but as always, it's also any other topics that you want to discuss. They've got a fair bit of stuff. There's been some changes to the COVID Safe Plans, the stuff about camping in association with events, and even an announcement by the Premier yesterday about camping. So that's trying to work out the ramifications of that as well. But yeah, quite a few other things going on as well, as you might expect. It's never a dull day. And we also have Scott McLean from University of Sunshine Coast joining us. Is Lauren joining us too, Scott? Yes. I'm not sure who's actually going to speak from University of Sunshine Coast.
I'm here.
Lauren,
yeah, Lauren's here.
Lauren's got the job. All right.
I'll be speaking, but Lauren's here to add anything that I missed, which I definitely will miss.
No worries.
Cheers.
Okay, so we'll get to you guys very shortly. So yeah, that'd be great. So thank you for joining us. All right, moving right along. If you have any other topics you want to talk about, please just pop it in the chat, and yeah, we'll flag it, or we'll see how we're going for time, and yeah, we'll have it as a conversation, as I said. I do want to flag, particularly for the members who are present, the Outdoors Queensland AGM, which is next Wednesday, 17th of March. We're going to do it on an online basis, but also have a face-to-face gathering in Brisbane. So it's very important. There's some forms have been sent out with notices about it, but we need to have those forms filled in to make sure we've got the quorum for the AGM, but also if you can't attend, whether in person or online, if you can appoint a proxy as well. So you've got to fill out the form that we've sent out with those notifications. So please give us a yell if there's anything you need a hand with on that. But also, yeah, if you can make it on Wednesday evening, that'd be great. Yeah, and please RSVP, just it's on that same form. So if you get a chance, please do that. Righto, over to our guest speakers. Lauren will run the ship, I think, and Scott. But yeah, I'll hand over to you guys. I think, Mark, have you made Lauren or Scott a co-host?
You both are, Lauren, Scott. You both know co-hosts, okay. So you can share screens and do what you need to do.
Yep. So I've put a little summary up there, which is carried over from the emails that you guys have sent us. But yeah, I might just hand over to you if you want to. I don't know, do you want me to give you a bit of an intro as far as I'll probably get uploads wrong is the only problem. Understanding and preventing lead outdoor accidents.
Yeah.
Database something. I just think you picked a good word and then you just made up an acronym. But anyway, I'll hand over to you guys.
I think we made up the acronym first and tried to fit words to it.
Right.
I'll share my screen if that's okay. This will stop other. Yep, sorry. I just got a new computer set up.
I might have to stop my share so you can
this-
do that, mate. No, you're right.
I think I've stopped for you.
Yeah, that's all good, Scott. You're up
Excellent,
and
thanks.
live.
I'll just.
Oh, you had it on
great.
the screen, Scott. That's why you knew what it stood for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I promise I won't keep you too long, but and Dom, thanks again to yourself and Outdoors Queensland. You've been a massive supporter of this, and I mean, this study would have been done had it not been for COVID by now, because I remember I came to the AGM last year and we started to drum up some excitement about it. But yeah, well, COVID happened and it got pushed back like almost 12 months. So so why we're here today is we've got a study coming up that we would like participants for. But before I get into the study, just in case anyone's not sort of aware of uploads, and I can't see everyone on the screen, I've only got a small laptop screen, but I'll just assume that some people don't know about it. So I'll just give you a quick update on what uploads is all about. So uploads is a specific lead outdoor activity accident incident reporting system. We've been collecting data since about 2014, and in 2018 we started. It's a new online app, so you can use it as you would any other app on your phone or laptop or tablet or whatever, and submit your incidents online to a national incident data set. So we get a mass repository of all the incidents from across the country, from lead outdoor organisations across the country. We've got about 100 organisations that are registered across the country, and so far since the start of it, we've had about 6,500 incidents and near misses that have been reported to the NID, or the National Incident Data Set, and like 3/4 of that, and that's sort of across 750,000 program participation days. So mass numbers that we're getting, and we're starting to learn a whole lot about how incidents in the outdoors occur. The way that we report this back to the sector, some of you may be familiar with our infographics and our annual reports that we put out, and also we put out scientific journal articles as well. And there's a little snapshot of our latest our latest annual report. So far with the uploads, it's been really useful for telling us how and why incidents occur, and we've got a mass database about the causation to injury and the factors that contribute to injury. But what the next sort of step is in the uploads project is now to use all these outputs and start to develop interventions so that we can implement interventions into the program. So in order to do that, we need to perform a study. So it's coming up soon. So essentially what we're looking for is we're looking for people to participate that have experience in safety management, program design, and development and safety interventions within lead outdoor activities. So we're going to run the study in Brisbane, or just outside of Brisbane at the Moreton Bay campus in Queensland, and then another one in Victoria, Burwood East. So essentially what we're going to do with the study, and I'll just keep it quick, really basic, and I can't go into too much detail because we can't give away the methods that we're going to be using because it's sort of a blinded type study. So there'll be 3 groups, and they'll sort of each be using a different method to develop safety interventions for a given scenario. So we've made up a scenario, but sort of based on facts that we've seen throughout the uploads data, and we'll get the 3 different groups to develop interventions to mitigate that in the future. And then once we've got that, we'll get safety experts to rate the incidents on their effectiveness or their perceived effectiveness. So, the study will run across 3 days. So to participate, you'd need to be available for the 3 days. However, you'd only need to attend one to do the study, because you'll be placed into a group depending on the type of experience that you've got. So so if you register your interest, we'll ask you some of your experience, if you're using uploads, if you're not, if you've been trained in some of the methods and whatever, and then we'll place you into the groups, and then we'll let you know what day you'll be able to. But the other key factor is that you'll still be able to attend the rest of the training methods. So you'll get taught 2, real sort of comprehensive and training safety methods. So you'll get training in those as well as part of it, and you'll also get a certificate of appreciation and a certificate of your contribution to safety research and lead outdoor activities from either Outdoors Queensland and USC or Outdoors Victoria and USC. So that's sort of, and if you wanted to register, you can go to the Uploads page, www.uploads.org, and Lauren's highlighted it like that here to the upcoming events, so you can click on there and then you can register your interests, and again pass it on to anyone you think that might be available. Yeah, so we need some numbers for this, and it'd be great if we could get some attendance. That'd be awesome. We can try and figure out the best way we can develop interventions for safety in the outdoors. And I might just throw it to Lauren just in case I've missed anything. But other than that, yeah, thanks so much for having us, and yeah, appreciate it. And thanks again for your support, Dom and Mark and Outdoors Queensland.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I think the key thing there too is just that we're looking for participants from organisations that do and don't use Uploads. So
Yeah,
if you're
good
not
point.
using Uploads, please feel free to come along. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks.
So, Lauren, when you say that, when you're saying organisations, you're talking whether it's businesses or clubs or not-for-profits, so any organisations that are delivering lead outdoor activities?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
No worries. Yeah, just wanted to clarify that, because I think in the past there's been probably a perception that Uploads was really all about outdoor education, but it's actually applicable to anyone who's leading outdoor activities in our whole sector.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Dom.
Yep. No worries at all. Well, thank you very much. Mark's just shared in the chat the link as well. So,
oh, great. Thanks,
yeah,
Mark.
So we'll hopefully, if anyone's interested, yeah, there's more information obviously on the website, and yeah, I'd highly encourage people to have a look at that and to get involved. So thanks very much for coming along to join us today too.
Great, and thanks again for your support.
Please do, mate.
I'll stop share now.
Oh, you can see everyone. Hello. All right, I'll go back to sharing mine. So just bear with me for a moment. All right, thanks very much. The next topic I just wanted to flag is the Outdoor Council of Australia. I've put an acronym there. So ACA's Outdoor Council of Australia National Summit. So that's coming up in the end of May. We're looking at actually the dates on there. I need to change that. They're to be confirmed. So end of May, we're looking at a venue in Sydney and doing it online as well. So and the whole idea of that summit is about addressing some of the key issues for the outdoor sector. So that's a summit that the Outdoor Council is organising, and we'll have some more information about that. It's going to be organised through the peak bodies like Outdoors Queensland and Outdoors New South Wales, ACT, and etc. around the country, as well as Scouts and Christian Venues Association, Australian Camps Association. So the member organisations who are on the board will all have a role in organising the summit. So if anyone has any questions about that, this leads me beautifully into my next slide. You'd almost think I planned this, but the Inside the Outhouse session on this coming Monday is actually going to be a discussion about the Outdoor Council of Australia Summit. So it's a good opportunity on Monday to ask a little bit more about that, or to find out more about the summit. And the Inside the Outhouse, they're always a good discussion anyway, so I'd just like to give them a plug. I'm not sure if we've got any of the Outhouse entrepreneurs, that's not the right word, facilitators with us today, but doesn't look like it. But anyway, I'll give them a plug anyway. So it's Monday evening at 6:13 p.m. Queensland time. They always trick me with their funky times. But yeah, so that's this coming Monday. Yeah, they're always the Monday after our sessions. Well, actually, that's not true. They are at the moment. They are first and third Mondays. So yeah, if you want to join that, there's more information on the InsideTheOuthouse.org, I think is the website, but Mark will I'm sure he's typing away. So he's either just sending someone a message or he's actually helping me. But yes, I just saw in the chat, before I move on, Lauren's popped her contact details in there. Thanks, Lauren. And Gavin's just said he'll also publicise it through Bushwalking Australia. That's great, Gavin. And as Scott said, walking incidents are one of the highest in the data set. And I guess that also comes to there's a lot of walking going on. And Gavin's noted that they compile data through their insurer for accidents. So, yeah, I think the great thing about uploads is it actually looks at that whole systems map of how accidents can cause. That's a big part of it, how accidents can come about and what contributes to it. So I think there's certainly a lot to learn out of that process, and it might be that you can use exactly that platform to compile some really good data and also compare yourself to how the national averages and that sort of thing that's in the data set. So yeah, but yeah, I encourage people to contact Lauren and Scott if you do have some queries about it. Yeah, it's certainly worth finding out more. All right. Workplace health and safety inspections. So there's been a few, I've spoken to a few operators who've had inspections of their particularly zip lines and giant swings. And the Workplace Health and Safety Queensland, they did put out that safety alert. It says should be designed or verified by an engineer. In a nutshell, the question is should or must, etc. So there's a bit of semantics on language in that one. I think the key part is that what they want to see is that people are doing the right thing in relation to safety of participants in the outdoors, which sort of goes back to what we're talking about with uploads too. But yeah, so that is going on. I've spoken to a couple of operators who've had inspections already and others who've got them coming up. So I think the overwhelming impression from the inspectors that I've been told is they were really quite positive and certainly not there trying to catch people out. They're coming to sort of help improve standards, but it's also they want to make sure things are being done the right way. So it's certainly something to be aware of if you do have one of those inspections coming up, or if you need more information about the WorkSafe Queensland Safety Alert. We did share it on our website as a news story in late 2019, I think it was, Mark. You probably know better than I do, but yeah, so there is information about it, but it's still on their website as a safety alert too. I looked at it just the other day.
Yeah, I reshared it just recently, and I've just shared the link for it again this morning.
Oh, thanks, mate. Okay, he's all over it. Thanks, mate.
Tom, can I ask a question about that?
Yep.
It's Derek Jervis here, Brisbane Grammar School.
Okay.
Thanks for putting that out. We've heard some rumours about this as well, and that is there been any further information about whether it's going to be statewide of all zip lines? I've heard that going around. And do you have anyone that you think would be willing to talk about their inspection and what's involved and the resources that are required?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've actually just sent an email off to people at Workplace Health and Safety and asked exactly that question of, what is their plan? At the moment, it just seems to be they're doing inspections of quite a few zip lines, particularly. But yeah, I don't know, and I haven't heard back through the email I sent off to them, which was I think last week or the week before. So I might have to follow them up, but. Yeah, it might be a matter of if someone wants to join us and talk about the inspection they've had. As I said, they've certainly spoken to me about it and said, there hasn't been, like I said, the inspector was really good and actually quite impressed with a lot of what they've got on site. But yeah, maybe that's something we can see if we can find someone who's willing to join us for one of these sessions and go through what they've had.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's it's a bit of a hot topic with the wording of should and shall and the implications of those words in that document from 2019, and then how you put that into practice post-construction as well. And I'd be really interested to see if anyone's had some recommendations from WorkSafe about a site that's in use and how to upgrade it to those recommendations.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, Derek, it may not need to even be upgraded. It might just need to be have the design verified. So, you know, it's not a necessity that anything even needs to change on the course, but if a course hasn't been verified by an engineer, it seems they want to see that. But again, as I say, that wording is should rather than shall, which is a bit of a funny one. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of wait and see what's coming out of these inspections too.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find an RPEQ that's willing to comment on a high ropes course as well.
Yeah, it's a fairly specialised area, as we know. So yeah, I guess, and I have spoken to some of the people who do inspections and installations of ropes courses. Some already use engineers, but others don't. Others, there's more information about who is a competent person to install and maintain as well. So yeah, it's a little bit of a niche area, I think, which needs to be understood as well. So a little bit of what we've been trying to do is have those conversations with WorkSafe so they do get that. So yeah,
I'm finding it's quite a minefield. The more industry professionals in that industry that you call in, the more varying opinions and recommendations you get about how to satisfy number one, the Australian standard, number two, the WorkSafe recommendations, and then number three, the actual legislation around a safe workplace at height as well. I'm really struggling to find the answer to what should we do.
Yeah, and I guess that's in a way that these audits or these inspections could actually be a good thing, because you might get all of that 1, 2, 3 advice in one place. But it's also a matter of understanding exactly what they need and what the basis is for what they're saying. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, be interested to hear if anyone else wants to talk more on that topic.
Yep, no worries. I'll keep you
Thanks.
informed. Andrew Grant's just popped saying workplace health and safety need to spend more time in the tropics, from what I've seen. Yeah, I mean, this has come out of the tragic incident at Cape Tribulation. So no, that's when they put out that that safety alert. So yeah, I think there's certainly a piece of work in that, which is part of why they're doing these inspections, I guess. And it's, you know, I guess the piece of that is that people who are doing the right thing, you know, shouldn't have to worry as long as they understand what all the right things are that they have to do. And I'm sure that's the case for the vast majority of our industry. All right. A couple of quick ones. The Brisbane off-road cycling strategy. So that draft, they've called for submissions. They closed at the end of February. So we've made a submission, and that's available on our website. Their website, the Brisbane City Council website now, says that further info about their strategy will be released in the middle or late 2021. So we'll just keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you informed as we go along. But hopefully that will lead to more people being able to ride off-road more often. So we'll see what happens with that one. And on the subject of consultation, Ipswich City Council, not to be outdone by Brisbane, they've released a natural environment policy, not national. I don't think Ipswich is going national yet. Natural environment policy, which is actually, I've had a look at it and it's pretty good. They're calling for feedback on that policy until the end of March. So just one to be aware of too. I just want to bring that to your attention. Their policy includes access to the natural spaces, and it talks about livability of Ipswich City, which is much more broad than the built-up areas. So that one's worth a look as well. And there's a link there on the screen there, and I'm sure Mark will be all over that one. So and so I just saw in the comments, Mark has just put a comment saying Toowoomba's looking for input into turning a number of unused rail lines into rail trails. Oh, that's interesting to know, Mark. So yeah, that'd be great if you can share some information on that one. So yeah, thank you for that. I think like rail trails, it's another spot where councils are getting involved on trails that may not be their land. It might be Queensland Rail or Department of Transport. But yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, that's good to know. But yeah, certainly have a look at that policy from Ipswich. They actually did a survey last year online, which has informed their policy, and now they're releasing a draft policy. So yeah, it's worth a look. Just a reminder, the Queensland Government's Fair Play vouchers, they're still open, but applications will close next week. I did have a look at their website this morning, and they're still open. So it's certainly worth, if you fit the criteria, it's worth having a look. But also for future, for any activity providers, it's worth actually registering on their site or becoming a registered provider, because what it does is you can have people use their Fair Play vouchers to pay for your services. So yeah, it's a good thing to get involved in if you can. And Gavin's just put a comment. Toowoomba Bushwalkers, a member who's also a staff member of Toowoomba Regional Council, and they're heavily involved. That's always nice to have an inside person. So thanks very much, Gavin. Yeah, so that's a great development if we can have more councils building rail trails. And Mark's just said Councillor Tim McMahon's overseeing it if anyone wants to input, and kindly popped his email address there. Thanks, Mark. I'm sure. Yeah, that's great. So if anyone does want to contact the councillor, I guess there's probably information about it on the Toowoomba Council's website, but I know quite often quite a few councillors love a project like that they can champion, which is always nice to see, as far as councillors looking at that as a way of improving the health and well-being and the activity levels of their local communities and the livability of their city. So that's terrific. All right, everyone's favourite topic for about the last 12 months, COVID. We'll never get sick of it. As Scott said earlier, the Uploads project had planned to run that training last year, and the COVID intervened, and it seems to have done that to all sorts of things. This is what was the roadmap, the COVID Safe Future document. It's been updated, and this version says from 8 AM 8th of March, but only yesterday they've announced some changes. So, and particularly the change to caravan and campsites. So from tomorrow, I think it's 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, so tonight, restrictions on caravan and camping parks, it says the restriction of 1 person per 2 square metres will be lifted. So that's going to make a bit of a change. And it's also going to require changes to the outdoor recreation activity providers industry plan and the outdoor education providers industry plan. So this is a bit of a process that we're working on at the moment. And I've got a sort of a question for everyone. We'll probably get to it when we talk about the actual plans, but about how we go forward with the request we have for relaxations of some of the requirements in the outdoor education providers plan particularly. So just before I go on, I'll just note, yeah, Matthew Townsend from Nature Friends just added a comment saying Minister Hinchliffe and Outdoors Queensland team are coming to the inclusive paddling event. So Matthew's running an event at Shorncliffe tomorrow, which will be, I'm really looking forward to. So I'm going to go along for a paddle, and yeah, and the minister's coming along. It's in his electorate, which is always good. So that'll be terrific, and well done to Matthew for organising another one. I did see on your website, Matthew, that just about all the spots had sold out. So that's a great outcome as well, mate. So it's good to see, and well done on organising it. And of course, that will be done in a COVID safe way as per usual. And it's a great thing that you guys are doing. Yeah, so I'm just scrolling along. The outdoor rec activity providers, the last version of that was updated in December, but it is going to need to be updated again to sort out, to align with these changes for camping caravan parks. So just got to sort out how that's going to work. So that'll be in the next couple of weeks, I imagine, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take. There was a statement about when the in the plan it says when the directives updated, then you need to follow the latest advice. So that will actually override it to a point, but we need to make sure the plan's updated as soon as possible so that it's all in alignment. And the same with the outdoor education providers plan. So I think 4 weeks ago when I was last here, we talked about changing the requests for modifying our requested changes. So we did that. We resubmitted some requested changes and asked that venue staff be able to service multiple client groups and asked for amended cleaning and hygiene protocols. We had asked to change the scope of the plan to include groups of adults in this plan, but Queensland Health has made it clear that if providers are hosting groups of adults, that should be done in accordance with the tourism and accommodation plan, industry plan. So it would have been a complete change in the scope of this plan, which would have been almost a rewrite. So I think we talked about that and we said, no, we won't go ahead with that request for a change. But what we've done is we've gone ahead with this request for the other two about venue staff and also the cleaning and hygiene protocols. So my question, and I'd love input on this is part of one of the big things I need out of today, I suppose, is this industry plan is going to have to be updated to take into account that change to restrictions regarding the camping and caravan parks. So do we ask Queensland Health to keep going with this change, which means it could get approved 1 week and then a week or two later there's another updated version of the industry plan comes out? Or do we say hold off on that one and do it all in one hit, but it might take longer to get it through? So I'd love comments, questions on this point. I think I'd really love some input from you guys. It is an industry plan. It's not Outdoors Queensland's, just write whatever we feel like. It's sort of what I'd like to know what you guys think.
We've been waiting since December for venue staff to be able to serve multiple client groups. It would be really good to get that through as soon as possible.
Yeah. So that's a strong vote in favour of let's just ask them to keep going, and even if it means the plan gets updated, a couple of times in a row, you're happy with that, Andrew?
Yeah. It's the one that we've all been asking for it for a while.
Yep.
And that's why we've dropped the adult thing to try and get that other one through. So.
Yep. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments or on supporting what Andrew's just said or disagrees with it? I just want to make sure. I actually had a feeling that would be the response. I see Danny's just said agree. If anyone else has any comments or wants to comment on it, Mark said agree. It's looking fairly unanimous, and I don't disagree with you. I just wanted to make sure that was the position of industry because I've got to represent that back to Queensland Health through Sport and Rec. I tend to agree myself. I'd rather see that change enshrined in the plan, and then when they update the thing about the camping, then that'll just go on top of it. That's sort of what I was thinking. But it could mean that people have to update your operational plans a couple of times in a short period. But they're not going to be huge changes, I wouldn't have thought. So if everyone's happy with that, I guess it's almost, if anyone isn't happy with it, you can just send me an email too if you're not comfortable to say it now. But I guess I'd rather have a discussion about it right now and just make sure that people understand what we're asking for. Does anyone else have any other comments? If not, if I don't hear anything else from others, I'll go back to Sport and Rec through to Queensland Health and ask them just to go ahead with those requested changes about the staff and the cleaning and hygiene protocols, and then we'll go from there with whatever changes there are in relation to the camping. So, all right, thank you for that. And like I say, I'm not sure when those changes are going to be made to the camping stuff. It was a bit of a funny one because it came out yesterday. I think the Premier announced it, but there's only really on one place on the website so far, and I think it comes into effect as of 1 o'clock tonight. So they might have updated it again today, but I haven't seen anything further. And I did see Bushwalking Queensland are all over it. They put out a notice yesterday afternoon with the text from the roadmap update website. Oh, sorry, the updated roadmap website. So thanks, Gavin, for sending that out too. All right. So, COVID Safe Plans. I just flagged that that new email address for sending them through to any about sport and recreation to that very catchy email address, dtis.sport.covid19.coro. Yeah, so feel free to send them an email if you've got some particular curly question that you'd like answered and get a formal answer. You can also copy me in on those ones because I'm always interested to see what are the issues that the protocols of the industry plan may be causing to anyone. Also, I did go with Andrew Grant, invited me to go on a public health unit visit to QCCC site at Mapleton Monday before last, Andrew. Gee, the time flies when you're having fun. Did you want to speak about that at all, mate? I would say it was a very positive discussion with the public health unit staff on site. Obviously, they were pretty impressed with a lot of the systems you had in place, but did you want to mention that at all, or have I just dropped you in it?
Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, no, it was positive. It was one of those proactive site visits that you've been talking about. So, yeah, we initiated, but we also used that as an opportunity to talk through that whole wording around the multi-day events with accommodation wording. So I think that has come back pretty clear that that's really just referring to pop-ups, like venues that don't normally do accommodation. Yeah, no, it was positive. I mean, it was rigorous. It took, about an hour and a half or so. And it was a Monday morning, so groups are incoming. But I think the only thing they really picked up with us was that whole food on open display, which seemed a little bit ticky-tacky, but they were concerned that our serveries were open at the front where people were coming through, even though we're serving the food. They didn't like the fact that our serveries weren't closed off. But they said that wording is only in the industry plan for the food services industry. So it's probably worth mentioning, Dom, have you asked for that change that we can also refer to the hotels and clubs plan, because the catering kind of requirements in there are probably they're more like what a large campsite is rather than the food services one, and the wording about open display is not in there. So
yeah, so that one was a discussion that we had about there's sort of two different industry plans that deal with the delivery of food, really. So there's the retail food services, which is really more aimed at probably cafes and restaurants, and then there's the hotels, clubs, etc. plan, which actually is probably more similar. Like, but it does say you can't have a self-service buffet, but you can certainly have it where it's staffed, which is what Andrew's talking about. But yeah, so that's that extra protocol that we're talking about on that one, of getting that included in the outdoor ed plan as well. Yeah, I just saw Danny's also put a question, what cleaning changes? So that cleaning and hygiene protocols, that was about the relaxation on cleaning or sharing of facilities across the site. So the point of that was about if people from different groups need to use a toilet block, that you wouldn't have to go in and do a full clean in between. So that was asking for that as a relaxation just on the toilet facilities. When we asked about that initially, Queensland Health came back and said, what facilities are you talking about? Are you talking about showers and change rooms? Because in that case, they're thinking you're in there for quite a while and you probably do need to clean it if different groups use it in between groups. But if it's toilets, they were quite happy with just for toilet blocks to have a relaxation on that, because we made the point of there can be days where or times when people have to, go to the toilet and they either have to walk all the way across the site to go to their designated toilets, or it might be better just to let them use the closest toilet. So that was what that one was about. Yeah, all right. Thanks very much, Andrew, and thank you for inviting me to come along to that too. I certainly found it useful, and it's I think the people from public health units from the Sunshine Coast ones who came along were certainly, I felt they were quite impressed by the protocols you guys have in place and the measures you have. So well done to you and your staff.
It was really good having you, Dom, there from the perspective of being the responsible person for the plan. But yeah, the Sunshine Coast public health unit staff were fantastic too. It wasn't, it wasn't an inquisition. They were really helpful. So.
Yep. Yeah. And that actually brings us on to the next point, which is about COVID safe events. So that was, I think, Monday, the 1st of March, the day we had that inspection. And one of the things we talked about at Mapleton was the stuff around events. And on the 3rd of March, so 2 days later, Queensland Health actually advised that the recently updated section of the public health direction, which required event plans for multi-day events that had accommodation, didn't apply to events where the camping was already covered under an industry plan. So a couple of days later, they actually clarified that, and they also advised that they were going to make sure that all of the public health units were aware of that, and that that everyone was on the same page about it. So I think that's a really good outcome from that. We put it out on a bulletin to our contact list, but also put it up on our website, and it's good to see a few people, clearing up that confusion that's there. But also they've updated the frequently asked questions for COVID safe events, and that document is a really good document. And there's even now, there's a specific question saying, if I've got an industry plan, does this stuff apply, pretty much? And it clearly says if the industry plan covers it, every component of your event, then you operate under your industry plan. And then there's even a question now that says, I am an outdoor recreation activity provider. Can I just run my event with camping under the COVID safe industry plan for outdoor recreation activity providers? And they've answered it again. So obviously, because possibly we've been asking the question a few times, they've even put that in as a question. I think it's question number 17 of 77 questions in that document. But there's a specific one about our stuff. So, and I've even had the question from a couple of archery clubs have asked exactly the same question, and they're sort of under the outdoor sport industry plan, but it specifically has a checklist regarding camping. So it's definitely covered off, and it's in black and white in the frequently asked questions in relation to COVID safe events now too. So that's actually, I'm really happy to have a bit more clarity on that one, because it felt like we were chasing our tails in relation to it, because everyone wants to do the right thing, but that's the point of having our industry plans, where it's covered off under the industry plan. So does anyone have any questions on that one? I'd highly recommend having a look at those frequently asked questions. There's a whole lot of them, as I said, but you can skim through them pretty quickly. There's sections that are completely irrelevant, but there's some also, when you read it, you go, oh, okay, that makes sense, that you probably wouldn't otherwise think about their frequently asked questions necessarily. So that's sort of that in a nutshell. I think we're getting a bit more clarity in relation to that. The big change that's coming up, I guess, is that change to the density requirements for camping. And I think that's going to be really good from the tourism point of view for quite a few tourism operators. And I'm guessing that's part of the reasoning behind that change, but also it's an outdoor activity. So, you know, we've again and again seen that and the Chief Health Officer said last year at one point, the outdoors is the safest place to be. And I think we can make sure that we're adding to that safety in the outdoors by following these protocols and industry plans. But also it seems good that the government is recognising that with these changes to the camping requirements, which I think were quite, were causing a bit of angst for a few camp operators. And I've certainly spoken to some who weren't really sure how they could even do some of the stuff that they were doing. So, or some of the stuff they'd normally do, and they had quite limited numbers at some of their sites. So yeah, I think it's a good development and certainly welcome that, but it's also going to mean some changes to our plans. So we'll just have to work through what that means. Just that pretty much brings us back to the agenda, and just the big question at the bottom. Does anyone have any other topics for discussion? I've probably ripped through it a little bit quicker than I expected today, but yeah, does anyone have any other topics you want to talk about, or any upcoming opportunities or events?
Danny here. How are you?
Hey, Danny. Good, mate.
That's good. Hey, I just wanted to ask one more question. Andrew's comment about the inspection and the what I call sneeze guards are enclosed on bain marie sides that are exposed to the room or servery counters. So it was left as they weren't happy. You had to do it, even though there's a chance that, you know, by writing in something else under our plan, it may change it. Is that where it was left?
Andrew, you...
Yeah, so they said they're almost apologetic. They said if the outdoor ed plan is referring to the food services plan, the food services, they said it's the only hospitality-based plan that has this wording, but it's no open display of food.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a stopgap measure, we've moved people further away from the serveries, and we're putting a lid over the top of half the thing so that it's actually not on open display anymore.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine.
Where, yeah, if they pick up that change in the next edition of the outdoor ed plan, and you've got the option of referring to the hotel and clubs plan, the wording's not in there. And for large sites, you know, like a 300 bed site and that sort of thing, the hotel and clubs plan is more like our context because it's more based around your RSLs and that sort of thing rather than small takeaways and restaurants. So
yeah. Well, thanks for that. That's consistent with when they did their site inspection with us. They said the same thing, but we did have things in place, like we'd put vinyl or polycarbonate sheet on the side of bain maries at the edge of counters that were exposed from the kitchen. But the difficulty really comes about when you're doing outdoor service and, you know, you're getting it served correctly, you know, your own staff or key leaders from the group with gloves on, but, you know, it's very hard to protect that food that's on a trolley or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, Danny, they did also, and Andrew's mentioned it, they did also just, one of the things they said is where you can literally have a line on the floor or marking and say that's how we're keeping people further away from it. It's not they're worried about really is someone, like you said, the sneeze guard or sneezing or coughing on the food for the rest of the people. So they were happy enough for protocols to be in place. They just wanted to make sure that that was underway. It was quite, as Andrew said, they were almost apologetic about it. They're going, well, this is something you really should do. So
it sounds like it's pretty important for all of us then to have that written into our plan that we can, you know, incorporate the other plan then. Yeah,
and we've made that request as well. So yeah, hopefully that'll come through in the next lot of changes. But yeah,
okay, thank you.
See where that gets to. No worries. Any other questions, queries out of today, or any other topics too that you'd like to discuss, and also any other topics for further discussion in future sessions. More than happy to hear from anyone about different things. I will have made a note about the workplace health and safety inspections, and we'll see if we can't get someone to come and join us for that one that Derek mentioned earlier. But are there any other topics, you know, that you guys would like to hear about on these sessions? No?
Perhaps, Dom, I might jump in for a second.
Yeah, mate.
Just drop back right back to point number 1 on the agenda there, the Outdoors Queensland AGM. I'm just looking at the list of people who are participating today, and I think all bar maybe 1 or 2 are actually members of Outdoors Queensland. And it will be good to see you either appearing at the AGM, putting in a proxy, or coming online to join us. You've all been sent the link to the forms to do that, and you know, it'd be great to see
so Mark,
in other direction.
Are you suggesting if we finish the session early, those people would all have 5 extra minutes where they could fill out that form?
Now that is a very good point. I didn't think of that, but you're onto it.
Does that sound like a fair idea to everyone? If we give you 5 minutes right now, you give us a form, everyone who's a member, is that, oh, they're all clapping, Mark, I can hear it. They're smiling and nodding.
Very good. No, seriously, folks, we, for us to do what we do, we need your support on things like the Coffee Conversation, but also the support on things like our AGM and some of the other work that we do too. So it would be fantastic if you could actually give us about an hour or so on Wednesday night, or failing that, put in a proxy form for one of our regular attendees to vote on your behalf.
Yeah, I promise not to drone on at the AGM. It's not going to be a boring meeting. It's literally, it's basically a legislative requirement, but we will also give you an update and a bit of a summary of what we've been doing for the last year, which seems like the last year's gone for a lot longer than 12 months. But yeah, so it's I think it'd be great to see as many people as possible join us for the AGM, but we do need those forms filled out, and yeah, the RSVPs. So if you can do that, that would be terrific. And we need to make sure we have a quorum for our AGM, of course. The last thing we want to do is be having this same conversation again because the AGM got put off. So I don't like to nag you guys. But yeah, if you can you please just have a look at that? Mark's sent it out a few times, so please fill it out. It's just a pretty simple online form that we tried to make it as easy as possible. Yeah, well, on that note, we have hit the 5 minutes to go, so I literally can give you 5 minutes. As a member, if you want it, you can go and have a look at those emails that you've probably saved somewhere with a big star on to do later, and I'll just say now, maybe later has just arrived, and you can fill out your form, and we'll see you hopefully next Wednesday night at the AGM, if not before. So inside the Outhaus on Monday evening as well. Oh, there you go. Mark's just shared a link to the AGM RSVP. I'm conscious I'm biting into your 5 minutes, so I need to wrap it up. But thanks very much for joining us today. Next one of these will be in a couple of weeks. But yeah, hope to see you, quite a few of you at the AGM, and I hope you have a lovely couple of weeks ahead of you.